So it's fizzy water, so I might burp.
That is just fine. Burping is allowed. Can you start by telling us your name and what you have here at the Ozarks Festival?
Well, my name is Bo Brown. I run First Earth Wilderness School. It's a school teaching Stone Age wilderness survival skills. It's just they're human skills used by our ancestors. Every human on the planet has those skills in common. It just some people like Native Americans are doing it a little bit later in the time period. But so they had me out here last year to give a talk on foraging and sell my book, and had me again this year. Happy to be here.
Foraging the Ozarks. One thing I've been asking most people is what's your day job, but this is your day job, right? Awesome. Teaching wilderness classes.
I finally landed a steady gig teaching Stone Age skills and foraging walks at Dogwood Camp.
Dogwood Camp.
Yeah, it's a Johnny Moore's property down. It's near the address is Lampy, Missouri. It's right off of Table Rock Lake. And I'm there one day a week. They let me set up a table with all my primitive skill stuff, and I just demo for who walks by and wants to see what I'm doing. And then that goes from 11 to 12:30, and 1:30 to 3, I do an edible plant foraging program. And they let me schedule my busy schedule around them, so it's odd days. It's always
And how many events do you have every year?
They're in
Dozens
just the
years.
last 2 years, in April, May, and June. I did close to 40 foraging.
Wow.
I was averaging to about 3 a week. And a lot of them are private events where people have land. They want to hire me out to see what they have going there.
Yeah. I was thinking about doing that too, actually.
Yeah, they'll get a group together and offset the cost. My basic fee is $300.
Okay. For a day.
Yeah, for an afternoon or whatever, if I don't have to drive too far.
Okay.
It's a little extra on it if I get to
Sure,
drive more than 50.
sure.
I'll do a lot of that, and then I'll do walks at my property. I have 10 acres in the middle of the 8,000-acre lead mine conservation area, right on the banks of the Nine River. So,
Actually, you're parched? I think I have a little bit more water.
so anyway, I do foraging walks up there, and I'm doing one tomorrow actually with Springfield Area Urban Society out of Springfield.
That is so nice.
They do a seasonal walk. So we do a winter walk, a spring walk, a summer walk, and a fall walk.
That is so cool.
So tomorrow is our summer walk.
And then just kind of like you were talking about in your talk, there's such a variety of, and just eating a little bit of it would be so great. And it's not just a bunch of different varieties once a year; it's all year long. There's different things.
Every time of the year, there's something edible out there that's wild.
I mean, I'm just moving you over a little bit.
And I mean, in the wintertime, you got things like cattail roots and Sagittaria. Most of the root vegetables, that's their time to harvest. That's when they're the sweetest. Then in the early spring, you get this big flush growth and everything. And a lot of stuff has a very narrow window of opportunity. You got 3 weeks to get it, and then it's gone.
In this whole journey of you, I mean, this has been a 30-year journey, but what has been the most difficult thing about it? Is it the timing of?
Well, difficulty is it's a very relative thing.
Sure.
For most people, the difficulty is finding the time to indulge. And it's like any endeavor, you get out of it what time you can afford to put into it. If it's important to you, you will put the time in.
Yep.
This is not. People think they can go to a Facebook page and, oh, I want to forage, and go to the Facebook page and learn a handful of plants and then go out. You're going to hurt yourself.
Right.
Or somebody else doing that. So take the time learning. If you're on starting a journey, learn a plant. Just start out with the stuff you know that's in your yard. Plantain, dandelion. If you grow a garden, 70 to 80% of the stuff that's going to be in that garden are introduced weeds from Asia and Europe. They're only here because the people treasured them over there and brought them with them for food. And if you're weeding and throwing away the weeds in your garden, you're cutting your production in half.
Wow.
You can get so much food out of Lamb's Quarter and Curly Dock and all these.
That is a good, I'm sure you talk about this a lot, but that is a really unique but important way to think about it, that the food that we think of as normal is only normal because that's what we were taught to eat and what our parents were taught to eat, but that doesn't mean that dandelions shouldn't be eaten. They're just thought of as the weed.
The other thing is that the foods we buy in the store, and I touched a little bit on this on the talk, and I do in the book a bit, is that our food system has been, not just in the past 100 and 200 years of selective breeding,
it goes back 10,000 years from the time we quit being hunter-gatherers to switching over to an agrarian society.
And which you don't necessarily think of as a bad thing in and of itself, but it had
Well,
consequences?
very big consequences. They went from eating hundreds of species a year down to a few dozen species because a lot of those plants have a very specific soil biome that they will grow in.
Right.
You can't take it out of that and plant in the garden and expect
Or if you do, you're always fighting it.
yeah, and then over time, and just starting in the first few generations of planting gardens, they would select the biggest, the largest, the sweetest, and the easiest to process, and put selective pressures on them, which continue now. And now it's like they want shelf life, uniformity, and color. Every time you put selective pressures on it to get a certain characteristic, you're losing what it grows, what it can be. There's all these medicinal compounds and all kinds of stuff that you're losing out in those foods. If any plant that's in the store, if it has a wild counterpart, you can look down you can go down the list of all the properties it has. Their wild plants are more nutritionally dense and vitamin rich. Plus, the medicinal compounds are through the roof compared to, like that little jelly I had, actually autumnal ketchup. It had the automelons have 17 times the amount of lycopene in tomatoes. Lycopene. It's the big antioxidant. It's the most important health benefit of tomatoes. And it's all through that nature as far as what do you think of if you want to buy vitamin C in the store? What do you buy?
Well, I think of peppers. I think of
Peppers are high, but most people go for citrus. Those little rose hips on the multiple rows, 3 of those little tiny things have more vitamin C than a whole lemon. And it's all through nature.
And then of course it's not sprayed, it's not whatever, it's growing where it's supposed to be growing.
You know its life history.
Wow.
You buy something in the store, you have no idea if you touched it, where it came from, what it's doing. And you can't replicate what goes on in a natural environment as far as roots or prairie plant systems. Their roots are going down dozens of feet sometimes, pulling up highly mineralized water and putting that up into the greenery, which falls down and creates a humus level that's extremely mineralized and very rich. It takes decades to replicate that in a grown garden, and you still never get the mycorrhizal associations from fungus that gets in there. I don't know. The movie, or it's a documentary called Fantastic Fungi.
Ah, nice. That sounds like my kind of documentary.
Everybody that eats anything needs to watch that film because it talks about the mushroom, they call it the mycelium network, reaches out and connects with all the trees or all the plants in that habitat, and the trees can actually communicate with that. If one tree is getting attacked by a pest or a pathogen, it sends out a message to all the other trees know to gear up on a particular compound to fight that off. Then they can actually pass resources from one another
through the mycelium.
That's
amazing.
And they've just found this stuff out in the last 10 years.
Wow.
And so they're actually talking to each other. The whole Gaia principle of the Earth as a single living entity is getting science bears it out more every year.
That's not a concept I'm familiar with, but that sounds fascinating.
It started in the 70s. Gaia is just the Earth Mother, and the entire Earth is one big living, almost sentient organism. It knows how to do things that it needs to do.
You have your classes, you have your nature walks, etc. What's your goal for the future? What do you hope things are going to look like in a few years?
Well, I don't really have a lot of good hope about things in a few years.
Really?
Just the climate change is everything that I do is getting affected by it, and everything to do in nature. I do my main gig that I've done since 1985 is I'm a songbird field biologist. So I do from 1985 up until just 92 when I moved back to start my school. I've done songbird studies all over the country, and I still do contract work for the federal government and for Missouri Conservation Department, songbird surveys. Even the songbirds, everything is reacting to this. It's changing their territories and their behavior in response to the changes that are going on. So we don't believe it's happening. The animals and plants sure know it's happening, so they're responding. And in some, it's going to be a mixed bag. Some areas are going to be it's going to be great for some areas. They're going to get more moisture than they had before, but the severity and the frequency of storms, we see that right now.
Okay.
And just all of that together, it's going to be imperative that we learn the things in nature, get closer to nature. We can't. The path that we have chosen to take, the way we live now, is absolutely not sustainable. It's all through every kind of literature that there's going to be that reckoning. Native Americans, they have a name for it. It's when Mother Nature shakes her coattails. All the things that are doing damage kind of fall off. The Bible has a
Now,
verse that
right?
all of
Yeah,
it,
yeah. One of the things I want to know is why are you doing what you're doing? Obviously, your passion comes through, but why do you do all these things?
My early influence to this was, like I said, I've been a musician all my life.
Really?
Oh yeah, I've still.
What do you do?
I played mandolin, guitar, and dobro. In the late 70s and early 80s, I was in a touring band in the whole Midwest called the Undergrads Boys. It was rocked out bluegrass.
Wow.
And now with fish and leftover salmon, that's what kids think, oh, we discovered this new thing, rocking out bluegrass. Yeah, we were doing that 40 years ago.
Nothing new under the sun.
But anyway, I played 7 years at Silver Dollar City.
Okay.
And in 76 or 77, for the Craft Festival they have out there, there's a Native American man out there. I mentioned him in my book, Jim Fire.
Okay.
He was out there chipping arrowheads.
Chipping what?
Arrowheads.
Oh, uh-huh.
And for their craft fair, and he was also a medicine man and for his people.
Oh, and you mentioned him in your
Yes,
talk. So he knew about it. He could tell you
Right.
10 minutes about
And
everything.
so that was my introduction into the deep level of stuff. And he just taught me so many concepts of all this kind of stuff.
And then and I know for me it's beekeeping, but it's like the more you learn, the more you love it, and the more you want to know more, and the more you realize you don't know.
Exactly. Well, his whole thing was that, I mean, his favorite saying was, knowledge is incomplete until it's passed on. So basically he said, once you're when you're young and you have a strong back, your job is to, and they do a vision quest to find out what your path might be. And it's just your whole goal in life is to use whatever skills and talents you have to find a way to give back.
Wow.
He said, that's all you leave when you leave
That sounds
the
like a
planet.
very biblical principle as
Yeah,
well.
he said all you leave when you leave this planet is your service. Whether it's to your people, your church, if that's your deal, your planet, if that's your deal. So he was really strong on teaching their kids that your entire goal as a human being is to be of service. And he said finding out your way to teach. And once your back is give out or you're not able to do the hard work of providing food, your sole job from that point on is to teach what you have accumulated. And in our culture, we don't really, I mean, if you get some old man, maybe a 70-year-old man off the streets here, his entire experience is the sum of his life.
Yeah.
He don't have the complete tribal knowledge of everything that all his ancestors knew. He knew what he knew from his life. He didn't know what his ancestors knew.
And that feels kind of incomplete.
Yeah, and so we need to find a way to keep this ancestral knowledge alive. And that was, it just struck a chord with me. I mean, with all even the bird research stuff, the music, I thought, well, I'm giving back in a way. With music, I'm not a songwriter that's going to make a song, write songs that's going to change the world like something. I'm making people feel good for the minute they're there. Once I walk away, nothing has changed. My bird research stuff, I thought, okay, I'm here. I'm conscious about. I know some research project hires people they know will kind of skew the results. I'm going to not be in on that. So you can have a whole crew of people doing that kind of work and turn the data in, and at the end of the story, they kick the data out and make the decision on a political basis. And it happened time and time again. So I'm only doing select work now for people I know that I can trust and not, I did pesticide investigations for 4 years for Brigham University. They were totally throwing stuff and making sure the pesticide stayed on the market. So it was,
that's
and it was, when you're talking billions, I mean, the one product we studied was 900 million net profit a year on that one product with this one company, and so they don't think anything about spending $1.5 million for a study, and then at the end presenting kind of shaky results that somebody can say, well, we're not sure about that. We're not going to take it on the market because when there's that kind of money at stake, you can justify whatever it is you want to do in that future. It does kill off things for the future generations. There's just no, when you're talking that level of money at that high up in the game, you can justify that.
I think it's been just in the past few years that I've, unfortunately, but realistically, come to distrust a lot of studies I hear.
Well, you got to look where it is done and who's funding it. You can follow the money as always. Most of them, and I know a lot of people that have worked for corporation settings that have worked on these teams that are every bit as environmentally minded, and they try to do the whistleblower thing, and they've done that. They will quash things up.
Yeah, I believe
I mean, all ours, we have to sign non-disclosure agreements saying if you talk to the media about it, they'll own everything you have. And make it real clear that you will be impertinent in a bad way if you do that. So it's like I don't want to operate at that level anymore. There's too much pressure.
So much bureaucracy.
There's always a chance of litigation because of the high money involved.
Yeah. So, thanks so much for chatting with me.
Thank you. It's been a treat.